Hey, this is Little Mel, and you are listening to No Boundaries. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 61 of No Boundaries. This is my first episode in quite a while where I am not interviewing someone, so it is just me right now for this episode. I am going to be talking today about LGBT representation in the media. Now, two things before I get started. Number one, I'll be focusing specifically on gay and lesbian characters and also trans characters. I wanted to go into the whole LGBTIQ spectrum, but I felt that would just take a really long time. And number two, originally I was going to include comic books in this, but I think I'm actually going to use that as its own episode. I might even invite back a previous guest that I had to discuss that with me. So we'll see how that goes. So with that being said, let's first start with TV. And by the way, if you hear meowing or anything in the background, that is Desmond. Desmond is the kitten that I just adopted. In case you're wondering, Desmond is a reference to my favorite Beatles song, Obla-Dee, Obla-Da. So anyways, TV. Now, more and more shows are including LGBT characters, And we've come a really long way since Will and Grace and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Now, some of these shows get it right, and some not so much. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to pick one show that gets it right, and then one show that gets it wrong. Now, I'm going to start with the show that gets it wrong, and a lot of you are actually going to be really surprised. The show I chose to talk about that really gets it all wrong is Glee. Now, don't get me wrong, Glee is one of my favorite shows. I do watch it. It's a guilty pleasure. And it's known for supposedly being a really progressive show. After all, it includes gay, lesbian, and even transgender characters. However, Glee's representation of these characters end up missing the mark. First, the character of Kurt represents gay teens as a stereotype. He's flamboyant, talks about fashion, skincare, and has all the makings of a walking gay cliche. Not only that, but his flamboyance is often played up for laughs. For example, in his tryout for the football team, it included a single ladies dance routine while dressed like he was ready for a jazzercise, class or something. In one of the very first episodes, Kurt's dad tells his son that he had known he was gay since he was 3 because all he wanted for his birthday was a sensible pair of heels. Glee goes over the top in an effort to say, hey, look at us, we're hip, we're gay friendly, see, we have this gay character. But all the while, all they're doing is reinforcing stereotypes of gay culture. A few examples. In the first season, Kurt relentlessly goes after Finn, even though he knows that Finn is straight. This reinforces the ethos that gay men are predatory, can't take no for an answer, and are out to turn any straight man gay. Number 2, most of Kurt's storylines revolve around him fighting gay battles. While this is very much a reality for a lot of gay youth, it seems like creator Ryan Murphy is going over the top with it. But Glee's cliches and stereotyped characters are only part of the problem. Homophobia and transphobia sadly play a big role in a show that is supposed to be LGBT friendly. And the following is an article on the Feminist Frequency website. It recaps the top 5 problems with Glee's Season 2 premiere. However, the issues are steady throughout each season. In this episode, so this is the Season 2 premiere. In this episode, we are introduced to Shannon Beast, pronounced Beast. It's spelled B-E-I-S-T-E, and it's pronounced Beast. The new female football coach at McKinley High. Immediately, Beast is made ridiculous because of her name, her appearance, her gender, and her profession. The writers use all this to make jokes at her expense, playing up her perceived sexuality and gender identity without ever mentioning it. Although Beast does not necessarily self-identify as lesbian or transgender, the writers are clearly playing on transphobia. I've already seen posts on the internet inquiring about the actor's real gender. They did attempt to add complexity to her character by bringing in a bit of backstory, which I appreciate, but it doesn't make up for endless homophobic and sexist jokes. Also, they consciously chose to name her Beast, a butch and monstrous name to match their casting, costuming, and writing of the character. They clearly did this to create a hyper-stereotype caricature of a masculine or butch woman with endless possibilities of homophobic and sexist jokes. Characters on the show that have non-normative gender presentation and don't fit neatly into traditional male or female identities are often ridiculed. This even happens with Sue, the villain that everyone loves. Beast is initially made fun of by other characters and framed as an outsider. Later, the audience develops more sympathy for her through Will as he begins to see that she is a person, too, despite her monstrous appearance and behavior. Although we are supposed to have more tolerance and some measure of sympathy by the end of the episode, she is still an over-the-top, stereotyped caricature. The character of Beast, Shannon Beast, is played by Dot Marie Jones, who is a woman. She is a lesbian in real life. And, this whole thing makes a really good point. And, they show her, eating huge bowls of pasta. In one episode, the guys were using her as a means to cool down, meaning when they were, getting hot and heavy with their girlfriends and they needed a way to kind of simmer down, they would think of beast, because, you know, who would be attracted to, like, this butch, monstrous woman? Okay, so the other thing about Glee that gets it kind of wrong is the character of Unique. And a lot of people, I understand what Glee's trying to do, you know, having a transgender character, but Unique's character is, again, over the top. She is super, like, diva-like. There are lots of, like, comments. In one episode, Kitty makes a comment about Unique being a woman with a penis, and just really, just, like, stuff that not all audience is going to understand that it's not right. For example, with the Kitty comment, did one of the other Glee members say, you know, hey Kitty, that's not nice, that's, you know, you should learn about transgender people? No, it was a comment that was made for laughs, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be watching this and they're going to think that that's okay. So if you're a fan of Glee, I'm definitely not putting you down. Like I said, I do like Glee, I'm a fan of the show. I am just not a fan of the homophobia and transphobia, especially when they're trying to pass it off as being really progressive. Okay, now I want to talk about a show that gets it right. Now, I've only seen a couple of episodes of this show, so I kind of had to do some, like, research and talk to people. And the show I want to talk about is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And for those who don't know, it's an action comedy about a fictional precinct in the New York City Police Department. And the show stars Andy Samberg of SNL and Lonely Island fame. And one of the other main characters, Captain Ray Holt, who is played by Andre Braugher. I don't know if I said that right. It's Braugher, Braugher. I don't know. The character Captain Ray Holt is the precinct's tough, masculine, unforgiving commanding officer. He also happens to be a gay black man who is also in, you know, a position of power. Not many shows, you know, do that. Now, Brooklyn Nine-Nine wins points because they do not use his homosexuality as a joke or a punchline, but rather the ignorance surrounding it to get the laughs. The show approaches both homosexual and interracial relationships with class and subtlety. No, hey, look at us, we have a gay character. Or no, let's be in everyone's faces with this. They get their message across, and they do it in a way today's world should be, as if it was normal and acceptable as being an old white guy. Now, I want to also mention a couple of other shows, personal favorites of mine, that get LGBT characters right. The first one is Doctor Who. First, there's a few characters here. Now, let's first talk about Madame Vastra and Jenny. Vastra is a Silurian warrior lizard lady who kicks ass with a sword. Jenny Flint, again, not the Doctor's daughter, different Jenny, is her wife and former maid who is skilled in combat and with a sword. Two characters who aren't even the same species. In my opinion, Doctor Who is sending a clear message of love is love. It can even be taken as a nod to any marriage that is non-traditional. Next, and you know Whovians, I can't leave him out, Captain Jack. I feel that Doctor Who took a huge leap with this character. Captain Jack Harkness is described as omni or pansexual. Now, I'm going to be talking about pansexuality in another episode, but it basically means gender has nothing to do with your attraction to someone. He is down with any gender of many humanoid species. The Doctor mentions in the episode The Doctor Dances that this is accepted human sexuality in the 51st century. Now, speaking of the Doctor himself, let me ask you this. Has the show at any point, whether old Who or new Who, ever said the Doctor is straight? I mean, I've never seen the old series, so maybe they have. But since he's an alien, I'm willing to bet he doesn't look at sexuality the same way us Earthlings do. Just something to think about. Now, next show, and I cannot do awesome gay characters without mentioning Willow and Tara from Buffy. In my opinion, this show was way beyond its time. I can't think of many shows at the time that had openly gay characters. In fact, I'm pretty sure they were one of the first. What's even more impressive is they weren't treated like a bad lesbian porno fantasy. They weren't over-sexualized, they weren't filmed half-naked and making out every other scene, and most importantly, their homosexuality wasn't the focus of their characters. They meet during a college Wiccan group, date, and gradually fall in love. They share intimate moments, they fight, they protect each other. In other words, they act like two people who are in love. In fact, from what I remember, the show didn't treat their coming out as a big deal either. I believe it was just something the characters accepted as normal. Oh, Willow figured out she's lesbian? Cool. What baddie do we tackle this time? Again, I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've seen the show, but the only time I really remember either of them actually coming out was when Willow told Oz. And even then it wasn't, aha, you can't date me because I'm a lesbo, I like vaginas, look at me, cut to like random shower scene of Willow and Tara making out. It was just very gradual and normal, and Oz, from what I remember about the episode, was more upset about, losing Willow and her not being in love with him anymore than, her being a lesbian. Willow could have been like, yeah, I'm dating an elephant, and Oz would have been like, so does that mean you're not in love with me? You get the point. Now, let's talk statistics, and then we'll move on to, I believe, movies. The GLAAD website provides the following information, and GLAAD is GLADD. For the first time in 4 years, the number of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender characters on scripted primetime broadcast television is expected to decrease. According to a study conducted by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD, the annual Where We Are on TV report forecasts the expected presence of LGBT characters for the upcoming 2011 to 2012, and this was 2011 to 2012 television season. The analysts of the characters in the 2011 to 2012 television schedule found that 2.9% of the series regulars are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, down from 3.9% in 2010 and 3% in 2009. However, this is a still better figure than 2.6 in 2008 and 1.1 in 2007. LGBT characters on scripted cable television are also in decline, with 7 fewer regular characters than last year's count, making the total 28 for 2011 to 2012. This season marks the 16th year GLAAD has tracked the presence of LGBT characters and the visibility of the community they portray on television by counting their numbers in scripted primetime programs on both the broadcast and cable networks. The creation of the Where We Are on TV report in 2005 has allowed GLAAD to track trends and compile statistics for a series regular characters on broadcast television with regard to sexual orientation, gender identity, and race ethnicity for the upcoming season. At the time of printing, the information found in this report is accurate, but it remains subject to change based on programming adjustments over the course of the television season. This year, the Where We Are on TV report counts characters on scripted series that started after May 31st, 2011, and looks at anticipated cast for the upcoming 2011 to 2012 season. At the end of the 2011 to 2012 season, GLAAD will compile an in-depth analysis of the images presented on television in its 6th annual Network Responsibility Index, NRI. Now, there are a lot of shows current and past that have gay or lesbian characters. You can just go to Wiki and search for a list. However, if you decide to watch one of these shows, I want you to really pay attention to how these characters are representative. Don't be blinded by the simple fact that the show has an LGBT character, because that does not always equal progress. Also, keep an eye out for queerbaiting. What is queerbaiting exactly? Well, a post on Tumblr gives a really good description. Queerbaiting is what happens when a series wants to attract a queer audience without alienating their homophobic, transphobic audience. They introduce a character that queer people can relate to. They use the details and feelings common to queer people's lives to make it very obvious to anyone who is queer that the character is also queer. They know that because there is very little queer representation in media, queer people are going to latch onto this character and therefore latch onto the series. However, they never let the character actually come out. When the homophobic, transphobic part of the audience starts to realize the character is queer, the writers add something to reassure them that no, of course the character is straight. Examples of this are Sherlock and Supernatural, and I'm so sorry, I know a lot of my friends are like big fandom of Sherlock and especially Supernatural, so I'm really sorry, guys. So, it's where the main characters, for example, Sherlock and Watson, are often mistaken for gay lovers. And then they pull the whole lols, no homo, man. Once Upon a Time has queerbaited as well. Remember when Mulan said she had feelings for Aurora? If you do, you're paying attention because it lasted 10 seconds before it was dropped. Seriously. They just mention it once, and you're like, oh, cool, Mulan, she's bisexual, or maybe even a lesbian, we don't know. And nope, sorry, no homo. Which, again, by the way, I hate that phrase, no homo. I think it's the stupidest thing ever, but I'll save that for a different episode. Now, before I move on, I want to talk about one other show. Good Luck, Charlie. During an episode, the show became the first Disney show to introduce LGBT characters. A lesbian couple, I believe their names were Susan and Cheryl, who are moms to one of Charlie's preschool pals. And the episode includes some tasteful humor where the characters argue over the name of the mother because they don't realize that Charlie's friend Taylor has two moms. When it's finally revealed, the show treats it like it's no big deal. In fact, the playdate isn't even the main plot of the episode. Now, unfortunately, since the show is or was in its last season, the moms probably won't make a second appearance. I say is or was because I don't know if they've had their finale yet. But I feel like if the show were to go on, that it would continue to use the couple and not make their sexuality a focal point. This all sounds great, right? In fact, even former Disney star Miley Cyrus tweeted her approval. But with approval comes disapproval. And not surprising, at the forefront of the episode's protesters was the anti-gay group 1 Million Moms, who said, quote, just because something may be legal or because some are choosing a lifestyle doesn't make it morally correct. Disney should stick to entertaining instead of pushing an agenda. Disney decided to be politically correct versus providing family-friendly programming. Conservative families need to urge Disney to exclude confusing topics that children are far too young to comprehend. So, let me break this down. 1 Million Moms took one episode of a show that featured a lesbian couple that wasn't even the focal point of the episode, and they're pushing an agenda. It seems to me that 1 Million Moms has things backwards, because if all they do is send out this, protest and anti-stuff, I can say, oh, okay, well, are you pushing the straight agenda? You don't hear people talking about that. The gay agenda, that's just, the stupidest thing ever. And the confusing topics that children are far too young to comprehend. No, I think it's topics that bigots are far too stupid to comprehend. Because I guarantee you a child, if you told them that somebody had two mommies, they would be like, okay, can I go play now? Children are really, really smart because they're simple in a genius way. They get things right away. You don't have to overcomplicate things. All you gotta say is, these two women love each other. Great. They don't know what homophobia is. They don't know anything like that. Now, before you, again, continue to scratch your head over this, let me mention some info that's even more horrible. The LAPD was investigating death threats made to the show's star, Mia Tallarico, on her Instagram page, because the show dared feature gay characters. Again, gay characters that were there for one episode. And some of the threats included, die Mia, fucking die in hell, kill yourself, you deserve to die. The same suspect also reportedly sent a photo of Tallarico's head covered by a bloody fist and the message, yes, kill you stupid bitch. For those of you unaware, Mia plays the show's title character. And if it's still not clicking, Mia is a 5-year-old child. Yeah, you heard me. People were sending death threats to a 5-year-old. First, it's not like she had anything to do with casting. Second, she's 5. If you honestly think threatening a child makes you a better person than accepting homosexual people, then you're a fucking idiot and I want nothing to do with you. I read that article when it came out and I was so disgusted. So disgusted. Ugh. Alright, I gotta cool down a bit. Now, I am next going to move on to movies. And I want to first focus on something very specific. What do the following movies have in common? Boys Don't Cry, Transamerica, To Wong Fu, and Dallas Buyers Club. Do, 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 do. Give up? They're all movies that have cisgender actors playing transgender roles. And this does not even scrape the surface of the list of movies and TV shows that follow this tradition. And I'm not saying these movies are bad. I actually like Boys Don't Cry, and To Wong Fu is one of my favorite movies. Or that all these actors are terrible. The problem is simply this. Trans people already have a difficult time in general, and despite the success of trans actress Laverne Cox, who plays the transgender character on Orange is the New Black, there isn't a whole lot of transgender actors in mainstream media. Cis actors have a variety of plentiful roles to choose from. So why also take the only roles trans people would probably be able to get? Seriously, we can name several roles where cis actors play trans roles, but can you think of any cis parts played by trans actors? I'm going to say probably not. Now, to talk about LGBT representation in general in movies, here are the two things I notice most in mainstream movies. 1. Homosexuality is the punchline or the joke. Think, for example, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, where two friends have to pretend to be a gay couple and get married. I don't know the reasoning. I've never actually seen the movie. Or 2, the gay character is a throwaway or a trope. They're either there for comic relief or they don't survive because they're beaten and disregarded. And of course, there are films in which actors play homosexual characters in a positive light. Monster, Milk, and Black Swan all feature famous actors and actresses playing gay characters searching for love and happiness in oppressive societies. But the problem is, it's great that they're getting these A-list actors, but what about the actors that don't get movies because they're gay, they're actually gay or lesbian? What about the people trying to make it in Hollywood? Why not cast some unknown in that role? And we still do need to make a lot of progress. Until movies no longer use the term, "that's so gay," for laughs, we have to keep fighting for fair and somewhat equal representation. I say somewhat equal because more than likely there will always be more cis and straight roles in movies than LGBT, at least in the mainstream, but that doesn't mean we can't speak out against negative representation. A movie where the gay character isn't a trope. A movie where the gay character is the lead and his homosexuality is the least noticeable thing about him or her. That would be great. And at the end of the episode, I'm actually going to give you guys some links that you should check out. Now, finally, I want to talk about radio. Oh my goodness, radio. And while it's only one show, I cannot do an episode on LGBT representation in media without talking about Welcome to Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale is a science fiction podcast presented as a radio show. It's set in the fictional town of Night Vale, and the show is narrated by Cecil Baldwin, who, if you didn't get the chance to see, I interviewed. I forget what episode number it is. It's like the high 30s, but I did have him on the show. It was a great interview. You guys should go to the website and check it out. And he plays the main character who has the same first name. During many episodes, Cecil speaks of his love and affection for the scientist Carlos, who he eventually enters into a relationship with. And here's what makes Welcome to Night Vale so awesome. While Cecil is in a homosexual relationship, it is not the focal point of the show. Several episodes go by without his sexuality being mentioned, and often it's edged out by larger plot points. That is the type of show there needs to be more of. There are way too many TV shows, movies, and other forms of media where LGBT characters are treated in one of two ways. Number 1, the joke or the trope, or yet another victim of gay or trans bullying and bashing. Or number 2, hey, look at us, we have a gay character, look, see how homosexual they are? Look, he's wearing rainbows and talking about fashion, we're so progressive. Ugh. It needs to be where, yes, characters are gay or lesbian or trans, but it's as normal as the fact that they're wearing jeans. I want to see, shows like this where it's more about the relationship and not like, ooh, we're a gay couple. It has to be normal. Now, when I talk about the comic books, when I do that episode, I'm definitely going to be probably talking about Batwoman. Batwoman is personally one of my favorite lesbian characters in comic books. I'm hoping that I'm not like reading it incorrectly and she's actually a terrible representation. I will hit Google and internet and all that jazz. So, like I said, I have some websites you guys should check out, and I'll post them on my website. The first is gaymoviesthatdon'tsuck.tumblr.com. There's a lot of like cool gifs and or gifs and information. It's GIF, but not GIF. I saw the GIF about the GIFs, and I GIF. And gaypreviews.blogspot.com. These are totally safe for work, at least from what I've scrolled. You guys should definitely check that out. Now, next week, ooh, I have stuff falling. Next week, I am going to be doing an episode on the Ban Bossy campaign, and I'm going to be talking about how it's really hilarious how people are all like, words shouldn't matter, like, they're just words, but then you say ban, and they're like, oh my god, you're trying to, like, ban words, blah, 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 and it's like, well, you just said words don't matter, so why does the word ban matter to you? So I'm going to be talking about that whole campaign, and what it's trying to achieve, and the naysayers and all that. Other than that, you guys, please check out my website. It is www.noboundariespodcast.com. I just made a YouTube channel. I'm going to be putting up videos of probably me and my kitten, just like ads and promos for upcoming shows, different random stuff. I have a new email address, noboundariespodcast4@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you have ideas for an episode, if you want to be on the show, please email me. You can also like my Facebook page. The link is on the website. Follow me on Twitter. I do update often. I put new stuff up. I'm going to start posting more. And yeah, just please check out the whole entire site. Let me know what you think. Listen to past episodes. All of the episodes are now up on the website, so from now on, they will all go up onto the website, I hope, unless I run out of room. So, anyways, I am going to leave you with a song by one of my top 3 favorite bands. This is Queen with Radio Gaga, and in case you didn't know, this is where Lady Gaga got her name from. I will see you guys all next week. I love you. Mwah.